So a lot of people who are subscribed to our channel know our story. Like we talk about it quite often, I feel like. But of course there are some people who don't and who have just jumped in and suddenly we're living in an ambulance and some people don't even know that we converted it ourselves, and there was a lot leading up to this moment here and our van life and where we are right now. So today we just kind of wanted to talk about that story and kind of reminisce on the whole thing and fill people in who aren't familiar or maybe miss some parts. We tell bits and pieces of it here and there, but yeah, we kind of just want to start from the beginning, talk about why we chose van life, what led us to this point, and yeah, just a little about us.
So the story starts with us living in Vancouver, BC, where we kind of were feeling like we had reached the ceilings at our jobs. We weren't feeling like there was too much more that we could do to progress. So we just kind of wanted to do something different for ourselves and just switch things up a bit.
We've talked about this in former videos, but we didn't feel like, it wasn't one of those things like, oh, like I hate my life and my job's the worst and I was working in a cubicle. Like it wasn't like that. It was just kind of like...
we both had really cool jobs,
Yeah, they were
actually.
pretty cool jobs. We were doing well, but yeah, there was definitely something missing. You know, I went to school and then I was working, and I think the same for you, and we just didn't really feel like, you know, we were exactly where we wanted to be. And it was one of those things that you can't really explain why, we just didn't feel right anymore.
Yeah. It's also important to mention that at this point, like we had just started dating. Although we were friends for like 2 or 3 years prior,
that,
like best friends, we would hang out like every day. We had just started actually like officially dating.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a new time anyway.
Yeah.
And many people know because we've told this part of the story millions of times. But this is when we decided to get certified to be able to teach English, and then we moved overseas and we landed on Cambodia, which we absolutely loved. Like we loved living in Cambodia. It was one of the best things that I've ever done in my whole life.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really great, but we always knew that we didn't want to live overseas forever. We always knew that we wanted to come back. Family and friends are like super important to us, and we have a lot of that here in Canada. And while we were overseas, we started a YouTube channel, and it was really honestly just for fun. And now I was kind of a part of like the travel, like Instagram and YouTube world, and more involved in that. And we saw all these pictures of van life from Cambodia, which we were there in 2018. We had always dreamed of, you know, moving when we eventually moved back to Canada to get a van. There was no like specific reason.
No, I mean, with the job that I was working before we went to Cambodia, I was skateboarding. So I was downhill skating for a company. So a lot of my summers were living out of a van with like 8 dudes. And not like a nice van like this. Like it was just like
stinky
3 rows
van
of seats and like bunch of skateboards and like people's dirty clothes. Although it was kind of gross, like I loved it. It was so much fun.
You like being on the road.
I just loved being on the road. Yeah, like traveling all around the States. So van life really appealed to me because I was like, oh, I can be on the road like that, but with like
have a nice,
with like a beautiful girl that I love,
so nice.
and like a nice place to live. You know, it's not a stinky skateboard van. With beers everywhere.
Yeah, we had just fallen in love. I mean, at this point, we had already both traveled before, but now we were really traveling. You know, we were living in Asia, and then we went through a whole tour through Asia, and then, you know, we moved to Australia and stuff. So we were just like, we just really fell in love with traveling, being on the road, like having not a lot of stuff. We liked living out of backpacks and stuff, which some people, you know, some people love it and some people hate it. We just loved it. We were like, this sounds really fun, but we also really like having money and stuff. So, you know, like we want to be able to make money and work and go anywhere. And
the ability to be completely nomadic and drop everything at the drop of a hat, I guess. To drop everything on a dime and just to be able to like go somewhere.
From Cambodia, we moved to Australia. We saved up like a whole bunch of money in Australia. We didn't save up hundreds of thousands of dollars or something. We saved up like a few tens of thousands of dollars, and then moved back to Vancouver with the intention of finding a van to convert, and then to move to Nick's parents' farm, which is like in a more remote area, like a more rural area, of BC. to build it for the summer. So that was the intention. We had like 2 weeks in Vancouver at most. We wanted to find a van within our price range, which was $5,000 was our budget, and then take it up to the farm and work on it for like 2 months. So we had saved up enough money to kind of do that, and we like made that plan. We didn't have any prospects for a van. We didn't know what kind of van we wanted.
I think we were like, oh, a Sprinter, like that's like the van that you get, but we were also open to everything because we knew that Sprinters were expensive and hard to come by for that low of a price used. And people snatched them up right away. Like they're amazing work vehicles. So we knew that a Sprinter was probably not what we were going to get, but
so we were like, oh, a high top Chevy.
Yeah, we were looking into everything.
All sorts of things.
Yeah. I don't think we were looking into minibuses yet.
No, we weren't. We had gone and seen some of these vans, and none of them were really that good.
We ran into some rust buckets right off the hop, just rust everywhere, or like the one guy had a vehicle that he was selling for like $3,000 or something. He just ran it completely dry out of oil. That was off the table. We found one Sprinter van and it had like just over 400,000 kilometers on it.
Yeah, for $7,000, I think it was. I think it was $7,000. Yeah, or maybe even $8,000. And we were like, okay, we'll do that then.
Yeah, let's do it. But he had told us, he's like, there's one guy that came just before you guys, and he said
he was gonna take it.
He's gonna take it. He's just got to see if he can get the money. But he's like, if he can't take it, it's absolutely your guys' vehicle. So we sat around for like 6 hours waiting, and then right at the end of the day, he was like, sorry guys.
That guy had taken it. And so we were pretty disappointed. And I think it was that night I looked online, and it was like Cube Van or whatever on Craigslist. I was looking on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace were the places where I was
looking at like 1 tons and 3 tons and stuff.
And I saw like a Cube Van, but then when I clicked on it, it wasn't a Cube Van, it was an ambulance. So the next day we went to go check it out, and he had 2 options. There was one that was like the gas.
There's a gas
engine,
option and then a diesel option, and the diesel was set for $8,000 and the gas was set for $7,000. So I went there, we checked it out. It was in pretty good shape, both of them. I wanted the diesel, but I could only talk him down to 7,000, and with the gas I could talk him down to 6,000. So that's what we got. We got the gas.
$1,000 was really like a lot of money to us because we only wanted our conversion to be like $4,000. $1,000 was a quarter of of our ideal conversion.
And we were staying in Vancouver too, and we'd already been there like longer than we had anticipated.
So we spent a little more money in Vancouver.
Yeah, so we were like, we need to find this van. We need to get the hell up to Lumby and buy our materials and start this thing. We were going to drive to Lumby the next day. We parked it at your mom's place, and then it didn't start.
I totally forgot about all that. And
I was like, oh my god, like this is insane. Like, no, but the guy was super cool about it. He's like, hey man, like, no stress. I'll send a guy. He's like, just so you know, like, I'm a good guy. And he was super top-notch guy.
Yeah.
Sent someone to come look at it. It was the starter. Like, that's kind of what I figured it was. That's what it was. The guy replaced it for us, which was dope. And we were on our way. Everything's run smoothly, so.
Yeah, so then we went up to Nick's parents live in the Okanagan. We didn't have enough to be able to not work, so we had to get jobs, and I was teaching English online, which was fantastic, but the hours are crazy.
Yeah, I was working for a beer and wine delivery company, driving 5 tons all over the Okanagan. I was working 4 days a week, so 4 days on, 3 days off, so 10-hour days, but it was kind of like it took you as long as it took you. So sometimes it was like 11, 12 hours that I could be working. And because it was an hour, 45 minutes, and I'm kind of on my own schedule, I'd get home after the commute there, commute back, a whole day's work. It was like anywhere between 4 and 8 p.m. and like dogged. And I would just like, I wouldn't even want to eat dinner.
And I would have dinner ready for you, but then I was getting up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to be able to teach English online because I had to be on with the same time as my students in China. So it was just like really not, it was fine. We were stoked because we like working and making money, and we're kind of like that. Like, we'll hustle to make some money.
Yeah.
And we're up for that, but it wasn't going to work at the same time as building the van. Like, we kind of came to this realization that if we were going to build the van and have fun while doing it and be able to film it on YouTube, really do it the way that we wanted to do it, we would have to save up enough money to not work for like 2 months and just go at it full time. And you know what? I'm not saying at all that people can't do it while working full time. People do it. If you have done that, oh my goodness, like,
Dude,
you are
that's
amazing.
crazy.
That's
Like,
crazy.
That's insane, man.
We
I couldn't do it. There's no way. Like, those 3 days that I would have off, I was done. And then like you'd just be working like 7 days a week. We wanted to film it, and it was just,
and
it
also
just wasn't
just wanting to
sustainable.
spend time together and not have to, you know. So we decided to take the winter off. Winter was coming here in Canada, and up in Okanagan it gets snowy, cold, early evenings, and
we knew we wouldn't be able to work on it weekends throughout the
and
winter
if we
time.
were going to, it wasn't going to be fun. So at the time, my dad had called and he said, you know, to Nick, like, I may have a job for you in Ontario that might be like a little easier on you for the hours, and it'd be easier for you, Rach, for online teaching because we're 3 hours ahead. So you're not waking up at 2, you're waking up at 5. And he was just living in Ontario by himself at the time, and like kind of wanted to visit because he hadn't seen us since we got back from Cambodia, and like we had been gone for a couple of years now. And he invited us to come to Ontario with some really cool opportunities. It was all sounding really good. He wanted to visit, so yeah, he invited us.
Yeah, and we decided no, we weren't going to do that, and we bought tickets to go back to Cambodia. And this was, I think, in like November-ish of 2019. We were just gonna
go there for the winter.
We were gonna go there for the winter. We were gonna drive down to Vancouver, and then head over there, teach English online, and just come back in May and start the van build.
So we bought tickets.
We bought the tickets, and thankfully, like a couple days later, we just decided no, do this.
And this is weird because like I said earlier at the very beginning of this video, we love Cambodia. Like, we love being there. We have lots of friends there. You know, it's warm there. Winter was coming here. Like, we were just working.
And we were just like, okay, now it's time to go back. Like, that was our mindset.
We're like, whatever, we'll leave the van for one winter. We'll go save up enough money in Cambodia. Because, like, I had started teaching online. And I'm saying to Nick, you need to get on this too. This is easy and it's fun. And you're working with kids and you're making, like, pretty good money. Go hang out with our friends and, like,
enjoy the weather.
Enjoy the weather for the winter and then come back with a bunch of money. There was nothing wrong with this plan. And we just had a gut feeling to not go. We had booked the tickets and we didn't get on our flight. And 2 months later, the world shut down. And everybody was ordered to come home back to Canada. And, you know, it was... I mean, you guys remember, like, craziness. And spoiler alert, at this point, we ended up deciding to go to Ontario and take my dad up on his offer. But there was no reason for us want to go to Ontario, where it's negative 30 degrees Celsius in the winter, or Cambodia, where we had flight tickets to, and a whole setup, and a whole life there that we could return to. And we decided on Ontario, and guess what? The world shut down and we were home. We
happened to find jobs out there that were really awesome jobs, and
had so much fun working there.
We enjoyed it. We spent time with your dad, and that was like massive highlight for me because your dad and I had never like really hung out. We were planning on getting married in June of 2021, so it was really nice to be able to like spend time with her dad and like to get to know him, you know, because obviously I'm marrying Rachel, so.
Those were some of the best times of my life too, like just living like and hanging out with my dad and yeah, it was really nice. Nick ended up getting laid off from his job at the end, and we kind of, you know, things were just craziness. They thought it was going to be 2 weeks. We all know it wasn't going to be 2 weeks. And so things were, you know, it was like 4 months into the whole thing. Nick was laid off and we're like, you know what? We're going to take this as a sign. So we did. So we drove back to BC and we started our van build. And it felt like, guys, like at this point it felt like the longest time coming, because like I said, we had first thought of this idea when we were in Cambodia in 2018.
Yeah.
And then we came back and bought the van.
It was like a year and a half or so, maybe even 2 years coming. Like that's how long
for our project to come into fruition.
Yeah.
And then we're here and we have this ambulance, which we had started kind of gutting the year prior, taking all the stuff out. Because, like, it looked like an ambulance. It was an ambulance.
Yeah, like fully
just an
shelves.
ambulance. Yeah,
Yeah, like there's a big captain right where the camera's sitting. There's like a big captain's chair right there for like the guy to sit and like work on the patient. Where we are is like where the gurney would be. We're basically sitting on the patient's chest right now. Like
yeah, like it was full on an ambulance. So we had to get stripping and like gutting, and we took all the stuff out, and like
these things are silicone and like sealed. Like it was a pain in the ass to get this stuff out. It's an ambulance, so like everything is like sealed, like perfect. And
yeah, and if you guys watched our van tour, or if you didn't, it doesn't really matter. So much of it, you know, when you're doing a van build, well, when you're stripping a van, it's already a lot of work. And then we've kind of fallen in love with like YouTube and filming, and we have all of our memories on camera. So we love doing that and we love sharing it with you guys, but at the same time, it takes a lot more work to build and be filming. Nick's like, okay, I'm gonna screw this in. And it's like, okay, wait 1 second, I have to go get the camera. Like, we need to get the shot, which is I'm so grateful that we did it. And I'm so grateful that it's all on camera. But it does add that little extra component of work to a build.
100%.
Because you can't just do things. You have to like set up the shot and then do it.
Yeah.
Then we got to building. And the craziest part is we never made a blueprint. Nick would say, he's like, Rachel, I don't care. I literally don't care what the plan is. You just tell me what you want me to do and I'll do it.
Yeah. Just tell me what you want where, and
I'll build it.
Figure out a way to build it, yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, like the build, I would say, you tell me, for the most part was difficult, but not like we didn't come across too many problems.
No, I've worked construction jobs before, and I have a pretty good like general sense of what I'm doing. But it was the only thing was just the mental block of like, I have to put all of this together. Like it's easy to see the final product, but to do each and every step, that was the most daunting. It's just mentally, you just have to like simplify everything and like one small thing at a time. Was kind of the way that I was trying to do it.
There were some days, I think, that say when you were building the cabinets or something and like you didn't know how, and
it was the furniture. Building the furniture was the hardest. Like getting the floor in, sealing that off, getting the walls and roof, like that was
kind of exciting.
That was fun. Like that was pretty simple stuff, but like I'm not a cabinet maker. I've never done that before. So my intention, I was just like, oh, I'll just like build it on the wall. I just thought that would work. I didn't think about it at all. And then I realized, I was like, oh, you have to build the cabinet and install that into the wall. So the cabinets aren't like the greatest, but when you really look at them, like you're like, oh, that's kind of like wonky and weird, but it all works, you know? That was like the hardest part really with building. I think the cabinets actually, that was the hardest part. Everything else was mostly straightforward.
And I think that, not to toot my own horn, but I think that I had some creative ideas for little mistakes that we made. For example, with these cabinets, you got those,
oh, the hinges.
Yeah, like you could see the hinges through the door.
Yeah, there's like half plywood that I used for the door, and then when I went to put a hole in to like screw the hinges in, it just went all the way through. So you just would have seen the hinge.
Right, but then I saw these cedar shingles and I was like, keep building it like that. I'll fix it later.
Yeah.
That was like the whole thing.
A lot of stuff. Like,
Nick would be like, oh, like I messed this up. And I'm like, don't redo it. Install it as it is and I'll fix it as it is. But you did, I can't even say how proud I was of you. No, I was. I am. Okay, Nick built this whole ambulance, I'm not even joking, with one drill bit.
Oh yeah, it was drill bit. Yeah, one drill bit I bought at the beginning, and a big tub of screws, like self-tapping screws. Yeah,
one drill bit.
One drill and one battery. We didn't even have another drill battery or another drill.
It would die all the time, and then it would just.
No, we did. I had two batteries. So yeah, I would like throughout the day, like 3 or 4 times, I'd have to switch the batteries out.
With one drill.
One drill bit, one drill, and 2 batteries. That was the whole entire ambulance. And then
and then you had
I had a chop saw that I bought a blade for, and then I had a jigsaw that had a kind of dull blade, and I had a skill saw as well with a sort of dull blade. So that was it.
That was the extent of our tools.
Yeah.
I'd look online because, you know, say something like the cabinets, Nick would go, oh, I don't know how to do that. I'm like, okay, well, why don't we just look it up on YouTube? You know, like, let's just look it up. And we'd look up the video and Nick would go, I don't have literally any of those tools and I'm not interested in going and buying them.
Yeah.
So then we would just
I need like a table saw,
skill saw.
a lot of stuff. Like I need to do like all these straight cuts. You need like a table saw. So if you look at like some of our stuff, it's not like perfectly even. It's just a measuring tape marked with a pencil and then skill saw through. That's pretty much
pretty impressive. This is the epitome of, well, what I think is a low budget. I know that $6,000. Our build cost $6,000. Some people spend way more, obviously, but some people do spend less, and
you could spend like we aesthetically we wanted to make it look the way that we wanted to look. If we just got like the cedar, the flooring, and then like we didn't paint anything, like we could have probably,
or we could have utilized a lot of the stuff in the ambulance.
Yeah,
but we
exactly.
didn't want that. We wanted it to look the way that we looked. And if you remember from like when we were looking on our van hunt, we weren't looking for ambulances. This was not intentional. I had an idea of how I wanted this van to look. And we were gonna do that no matter what kind of van we got. For what we had, it was a really, really fun experience. Some days were harder than others. There were some cursing and getting frustrated, giving up some days. There was crying on my behalf. We really wanted to just get on the road. We really wanted to finish it. Summer was almost over. And winter was coming up again. If you guys are Canadian or if you live in the US or really anywhere that has like a cold winter, you know what it's like that when that's coming up, you're like, okay, well, that's it. Like my year is over.
That's the year, yeah.
That's the year. And now here we go. We have to like make
and
it through the winter
we also
again.
didn't really build this thing with the intention of staying in it throughout the winter. So it's not perfectly winterized. It does get pretty damn cold in here. The kind of idea was we were like, oh, well, after the summer, we just kind of like convinced ourselves like the borders will be open up. So like we thought that maybe September, October we would
go down to New Mexico,
or even fly
Mexico.
somewhere else and like leave the van for the winter again and then come back and live in it throughout the summer. And then obviously as it got closer to the date, we realized, okay, that's
the
obviously not going to
restrictions are
happen.
not
like,
loosening up. Yeah.
So we were like, okay, what's the warmest place in Canada? The island. Vancouver Island is the warmest. So we were like, I guess there. So we thought that was the best option. So that was, we just wanted to get it done. We just
really wanted to get it done. Like that was the whole thing. Like we just wanted to get it done. Things were, we're living with Nick's parents and that's really great. Like we're so grateful for that, but it's just natural, like we haven't lived with our parents. We don't want to live with our parents. We want to be off going and doing our own thing.
Yeah.
And, we were really happy to be able to spend the summer with family, but we just wanted to get the project done. And some knots we left untied. We were just like, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And you know what? We have added so many things to our build since we even did our van tour. We've done renovations and have added little things here and there to make it more livable. I really recommend that. Like if you're building a van, don't think that when you first finish, you're actually going to be done. If you haven't done van life before, you haven't lived in a small space before, you should really finish your van and be happy like with yourself, but also understand that you're going to want to make changes to it after you actually live in it.
Depending on how you live.
No matter how many things you think out beforehand, you can think out every little thing. You can watch every little YouTube video and see other people's, like their tiny little details. And there are so many great van builds on YouTube, but until you live in it, you don't know what you're going to use, what you wish that you had put in and whatever. So
and build the van and the components in the van to yourself and what you do and what you like now. Don't build it around the idea of what van life is and the idea that you're gonna be different and like go on hikes every day and spend all this time outdoors. If you don't do that, if you enjoy, I guess for example, playing video games, if you enjoy playing video games, build something into your van that you can play video games. Like, you don't think that you're gonna change just because you start van life.
Yeah, that was the advice that I had heard from, there was a channel, I think it's Lady, is his name Lady? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Lady and Margaret, I think are their names. I could be totally butchering that. But she did like these van build reviews and she had said that. She's like, build your van based upon what you like to do. If you like to watch Netflix, have a space that you're going to be able to watch Netflix. And we had really taken that piece of advice and like, you know, I have a place to work on my laptop and like whatever. But when we finished this van, it felt crazy.
Yeah, it kind of snuck up on us, actually. I think. I just felt like, because the floor and the walls and painting everything and then building the cabinets had taken so long that by the time we finished off like the seats, you know, I built the bed in like a day. I was just kind of like, I don't know, should I build the bed? It just kind of went up after like a day. And then it was like, whoa. It was only like 2 weeks after that we were like, holy shit, like we're, like this is it. Like we're coming to being done. And it felt really good, but it was also kind of not scary, but I was like this is almost over, you know? Like I'm not, like, of course there's little things to do here and there, but it's like I enjoyed the process for the most part of building the van. Yeah,
it was weird when it was done because, you know, it was our niece's first birthday. The family had some guests over and a lot of people were like looking at our van and
show and tell.
And it was so weird, like showing people our van. I mean, it wasn't that many people, it was like 3 people, but like they were looking at our van just going, oh wow, like this and that. And you know, it was kind of good. It was kind of a weird coincidence that we finished on that weekend or whatever too. And we got to have that opportunity because it is really interesting when other people, because they saw us all summer out there working on it, but they didn't really know what they were doing because the vision was in our heads. And then it all comes together and they go, oh my God, you know, when I stained the walls black, people on YouTube and people in real life were like, no, like, don't stain the walls black. It's gonna look so small. And people were freaking out because that cedar looked so beautiful, untouched, unstained.
Yeah.
But I always knew I wanted to do the walls ebony and the ceiling gray. Like, I knew that. And when I was doing it, people were like, oh, it's gonna be so dark in there. I'm like, no, trust me, like it's gonna be really colorful actually. We have a very colorful build, not directly behind us, but like what we're looking at right now is very colorful. And I wanted to add like royal blue and mustard yellow. I had all these ideas in my head that I actually hadn't really seen in other people's van builds before, at least on YouTube and Instagram and whatever. And when it all came together and everyone's looking at it and going, oh my God, it looks so different than I thought it was going to look or whatever. It was a really, really cool feeling to have that type of, you know, reaction to what we had just spent our whole summer doing. What do you love about van life and what did you expect? And like, why did you want to do van life?
Well, I think it just kind of comes back to like my point at the beginning, being in a skateboard van and traveling with all my friends and just being on the road and seeing a new thing every day and just being nomadic, you know? I think that's what really appealed to me about van life is the ability to just like be nomadic all the time. So that way when we're traveling out of country, hopefully throughout the winters, you know, we're always nomadic that way, living out of a bag, able to travel. And then when we're here, we're doing the same thing. We're not like renting a place for 6 months or something. We're able to go wherever we want on this continent.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely something for us like very freeing about being able to have, some people ask, oh, you're gonna go off and like be away from everybody or whatever, and it's like, no, we're able to go see anyone we want at any time, and we're able to go traveling places and bring what we have with us and bring something that means so much to us with us. And we always have that kind of feeling of comfort. We could be anywhere, but what you're seeing right now is what we see and what we come home to. No matter what cliff we're on or road we're on or country we're in or province we're in. Obviously not right now because of the, you know, the thing that's happening. But
the old panini. I like being able to live somewhere for an amount of time, you know, at least, you know, 3 to 6 months and be able to like live somewhere, immerse yourself in the culture, really see the place, make friends, and like live how people live there. I'm really looking forward to that. Just slow traveling.
Yeah, we love slow travel. We always joke that like we consider traveling house hunting for the future. We love Vancouver and Vancouver will probably always feel like home in our hearts, but neither of us were born there. And so who's to say that we won't go to another city and that will also feel like home, you know?
Yeah.
We're just open to it.
The reason that we started this channel in the first place was to basically be a collection of our travels and our memories that we make together. And so far that's what it is. That's what we've done. We're able to look back on old videos that we've done and created, and the memories that we've made, and go, oh my god, I totally would have forgotten about that. Like, you know, remember when we did this? And they just jog your memories about other things that you did, you know? So that's really what the channel started as, and still kind of is to us. But, you know, we've gained some subscribers along the way, and we're just...
I think the difference is now, like, over time, like, you know, when more people start to see your videos and stuff, like, we really have a tiny channel. People do ask, like, tons of questions, and we either answer them in video format and make full videos about that stuff, or I connect with people on Instagram every single day. Lots of messages on Instagram that we always respond to. So it's been a way for us to do something creative, but also have all of our memories documented and here in one place. And we've met so many friends by doing this. Some of our really good friends we've met through YouTube. And while talking about this whole story, it's just kind of fun to reminisce on why we ended up here, why we're doing what we're doing. And whether it be van life or, you know, moving overseas or doing a working holiday visa or teaching English somewhere or working remotely, like, no matter what it is, I look back at all of this and I just think about all the friends that we made. And I really hope that we'll be able to meet more people through van life and really take everything that we love with us to other places that we may fall in love with too. Anyways, I hope this gave you guys more of a story about who we are. Just to remind you that, you know, life doesn't always have to look one way. And I said this on TikTok, what may look kooky on the outside feels good for us. And there are so many different ways to live your life. And I'm just happy that I get to do mine with you. And that we get to share it with you guys too. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being a part of this channel. And we will see you guys in the next video.
Thanks, guys.